When most people think about Formula One, they think about drivers: Senna, Schumacher, Hamilton, Verstappen. But in modern F1, there's another group of people who have become almost as powerful and sometimes even harder to replace: team principals. From Christian Horner and Toto Wolff to Flavio Briatore, Ron Dennis and others, F1 bosses now shape driver careers, politics, regulations, and even the stories fans talk about every week. Today on Apex Racing Desk, we're looking at how F1 team principals became more powerful than some drivers, and why that might be both good and bad for the sport. In the past, most F1 bosses worked in the shadows. Names like Enzo Ferrari or Colin Chapman were legendary, but they were not on camera every weekend the way modern team principals are. Today, it's completely different. Christian Horner, Toto Wolff, Fred Vasseur, Gunther Steiner, they all became public personalities, giving interviews, starring in Drive to Survive, and sometimes stealing headlines from the drivers themselves. And that visibility comes with power. Few rivalries show this better than Christian Horner versus Toto Wolff in the hybrid era. While Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen fought on track, Horner and Wolff were fighting a parallel battle off it, in the media, in briefings, and behind closed doors. They argued about regulations, flexi-wings, engines, track limits, race control decisions, and much more. At times, it felt like they were not just managing teams, but actively trying to shape the environment in which championships were decided. That's a level of influence most drivers simply don't have. If we want to talk about controversial power, we have to mention Flavio Briatore. As boss of Benetton and later Renault, he helped bring Michael Schumacher and Fernando Alonso to world titles. Briatore built teams around star drivers, influenced driver lineups aggressively, and was known for making big, sometimes brutal decisions. But his power also came with scandal, most famously the Crashgate incident in 2008, which eventually led to a ban and a huge stain on his reputation. The fact that someone with that history is still involved in F1 at a high level today tells you a lot about how much value the sport places on influential power brokers. Not all powerful team principals are loud or controversial. Some are quiet, but their impact is just as deep. Ron Dennis, for example, turned McLaren into a super team, signing legends like Ayrton Senna, Alain Prost, and later Mika Hakkinen and Lewis Hamilton. For decades, McLaren's identity was basically Ron Dennis's vision. More recently, at Ferrari, Mattia Binotto represented another type of power, the engineer director who controlled not only race decisions, but also the technical DNA of the team. When someone like that leaves, it's not like changing one driver. It can feel like ripping out part of the team's brain. So why have team principals become so powerful, sometimes more powerful than the drivers themselves? First, they control the structure: budgets, hiring, technical direction, and long-term strategy. A great driver can win races. A great team principal can build an entire system that wins for years. Second, they have political power. They sit in meetings with Formula One management, the FIA, and other teams, negotiating rules, agreements, and advantages. Drivers rarely have that kind of seat at the table. Third, they influence careers. A single decision from a team principal can make or break a driver's future, offering a contract, cutting someone from a program, or choosing one talent over another. And finally, there's the media. In the era of Drive to Survive, social media, and 24/7 coverage, a charismatic or controversial team principal can become a star in their own right. So is this rise in team principal power good or bad for Formula One? On the positive side, it creates deeper stories. Fans don't just follow drivers and teams, they follow philosophies, personalities, and long-term projects led by these bosses. It also makes the sport more complex and strategic, which is great for people who love the chess game behind the races. On the negative side, it can concentrate too much power in too few hands. When a team principal becomes bigger than the team or untouchable despite mistakes, it raises questions about accountability and fairness. And sometimes, the off-track drama between bosses can overshadow the racing itself.
One thing is clear. In modern Formula One, team principals are no longer just names on the pit wall. They are power players, media figures, and in some cases, kingmakers who decide which drivers get a shot at glory. In some teams, it might even be easier to replace a driver than to replace the boss. What do you think? Have team principals become too powerful in Formula One? Or are they just finally getting the attention they always deserved? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more deep dive analysis into the stories behind Formula One, don't forget to subscribe to Apex Racing Desk. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.